Welcome into Trust the Process Live. I am your host, James Hyde, and here with my guys, Doc Lock, Josh Safran. How are you, friend?
Oh, fantastic. Fellas, you refer to me as Doc Lock for a reason. It's been a while, but I just want to get it out there. March Madness has been kind of shaky, right? Towards the end, I hit Miami money line that really picked it up. Full disclosure, and kids, do not try this at home. But yes, I did hit Phillies money line today in spring training.
Let's
Baseball's
go.
back, and I'm ready to go. Let's go.
Let's go.
I busted it out
that.
just because baseball's back.
The man
make
of
sure.
8 digits, because that's the number that Nick Castellanos will be wearing for the Philadelphia Phillies. Max Coolish, how are you?
I'm great, man. It's you know me, I'm not the baseball guy here, but I'm excited to talk America's pastime this evening. So let's get it.
Let's go. So before we get into our main event, where we're going to talk a little bit of Sixers and then get right to the kind of the entree, which is baseball. Let me say something. I'm going to take a 30. I'm going to take a 30.
Oh, okay.
Because the Phillies, they're looking nice. They went to the gym. They took care of themselves over the winter. They got ready for summer. They're the person that you stop talking to, and you look across the street. You see him walking by. You go, hey, okay, I can tell you, looking good. You eating right, okay? You know what? What's up? Let me swing back around here. Let me talk to you. But baseball as a whole, you still got some splaining to do. Okay, there's a larger picture here that I still need some explanations on, but I can focus on the good for now. Okay, the shift isn't ending this year. That's in the future. The DH is coming to the National League now. There's still some splaining to do by Manfred. I don't think there ever won't be, but the Phillies, you looking good, baby. It's good to see you. Let's talk. All right, and we'll get to that. We'll circle back to our Phils. But our first conversation is going to be about those Sixers, and luckily luckily they bounced back last night against the Heat without the two leaders in Joel Embiid and James Harden. But before that was an absolute miserable showing against those Toronto Raptors. So we're going to start there, and I kind of want to take it in the direction of how much can we really take from that Heat win because of, like I said, they were missing Embiid and Harden. So, Josh, I'm going to start with you right here. What really happened against those Raptors, and how do I extrapolate that?
Oh, I don't know. And to be completely honest, that Raptors game, I didn't get to catch the whole thing. I caught the abysmal end of it, and it's just
You're fine.
it's starting to get concerning, I guess. And I know, going back to my old ways of my whole take and my whole perception of this team hinges on every game, and that's not the case. It's just a matter of last week I came on here and said this is a flash in the pan, and they have not done anything to ease those worries since then. So I think you got to start getting nervous, and not panic button nervous, but you do have to throw the idea out there that James Harden is not the Rockets' James Harden. That I'm not speaking for everyone else. I'll speak for myself here. I guess I talked myself into that the Sixers got the Rockets' James Harden. The Sixers got MVP James Harden, and that's just not the reality. I don't know what to make of it, Banners, because you look at a game like that and you say to yourself, man, this team just doesn't have that it factor, right? And everyone knows how I feel about this team. Everyone acted like that Jimmy Butler team had it with that alpha, and he was going to be the guy who the closer is what everyone loved to refer to him. The Sixers needed a closer. It's a little bit concerning that after a really rough patch, they still haven't had that get-right game until last night. But you can't call that a get-right game because you got right with the weird cast, and we will get to it. I'll hold off talking about that. It's just I'll harken back to what I said last show. I really believe there is something wrong with the team's confidence, and I will kind of jut into last night's game for a little bit. That was what happens when the adults aren't in the room, I guess. And what I mean by that is, I remember Brett Brown. Remember, he said that was the adult in the room. That was James Butler in his silly little voice. But I think sometimes with these young guys in this depth here, there's a little bit of fear playing next to the MVP and a former MVP and James Harden and Embiid, where they might not feel this confidence playing next to them and defer. Like if Niang or Maxi's thinking, I shouldn't be shooting this. We've got James Harden on our team. Why don't I try to get it to him? I have to imagine that there's just a little bit of hesitancy going on right now, and I'm just concerned. What you said it earlier, Banners. 11 games for the rest of the regular season.
12.
12 or 11. I just don't know if that's enough time for these guys to get comfortable with each other before the playoffs. So this is a tough to swallow pill for me. I'm not hitting the panic button right now, but I'm kind of taking a step back and saying to myself, like, I'm not watching James Harden with Houston Rockets colored glasses anymore. This is the reality, and it's pretty nerve-wracking. I'm not saying they're done, but I'm not just saying, oh, it's going to get better.
So, Max, from here to here, all right, stop me from here to here to here, concern level. Stop me when I get to it, okay?
You look like you're about halfway now, so I would say stop.
I'm just right here. Okay,
Yeah,
that's fine.
I don't think that we should have expected Rockets James Harden. Like he's not that guy anymore, but his level of play absolutely is my number one concern right now with the Sixers. He's not even playing his own game, let alone elevating those around him. Kind of like, we saw a little bit of at the beginning. But ultimately, that's why we traded for the guy. He is still at least a borderline top 10 player in the league, and maybe he's not firmly top 5 like he used to be in those couple of years, but the dude is still a really good player. It's not like he forgot how to play overnight. I do think there is a bit of an issue with him not having a ton of help around him, and and obviously, of course, the game that he doesn't play, all the other pieces go absolutely nuclear, and we'll save that for when the script turns here. Also, I don't want to do this victory lap, but remember when I said DeAndre Jordan is a corpse? He is minus 76 in 73 minutes since being acquired.
That's good. That is a hilarious number to me.
That's borderline impressive.
It's awful. It's awful. He's just as bad as I thought he would be. We saw, I don't know if you guys caught this, but Charles Bassey finally saw the floor the other night, except for he was on the floor with DeAndre Jordan. I wasn't really sure what was going on there. Other than that, I will say that's been, I don't know. There's been a lot of things. I don't think it's been all Doc. I don't think it's been all James Harden. Like, I don't think it's been all the bench. Like, it just seems that the pieces, when they're failing catastrophically, and it's just they're not playing complete games, right? Like, using it in a football analogy, like 2 of the 3 phases are showing up, right? Offense, defense, and special teams, right? Like, that's not totally equatable to basketball, but they're not playing cohesive games. Like, they played incredible defense last night without Embiid, and that rarely ever happens, right? Like we never see that really. Like, and if they do play good defense, they usually can't score for shit. And the fact that they were able to, quite frankly, steal a game at home against the number 1 seed, like, they're back in play for the number 1 seed. Like, how can I be that? They're 2 games back of the Heat for the number 1 seed. Granted, there's the top floor is a huge cluster. It's a huge cluster between Miami, Milwaukee, us, and who am I blanking on here? Somebody help me. Who's the 4th team at the top of the East that I can't think of?
Probably
us, Miami.
The Bucks? Did you say the Bucks?
I said the Bucks.
So the Bucks, the Cavs, isn't it?
No, the Cavs dropped all the way down.
No, the Cavs dropped. Hold on.
Did
the
they?
Celtics?
Oh man, I haven't been watching.
It is the Celtics. Yeah, the Celtics are all the way in it. So right now, Miami is in first. Sixers are in second, but the Sixers, Bucks, and Celtics are all 2.5 games back of Miami right now for the number 1 seed.
That's wild.
The top 4 is clustered. So the fact that, like last night, if they lose last game, like they should have, like, I'm probably feeling much differently. But, like, thank God they had that game last night, because I was disgusted with what I saw on Sunday against the Raptors. Quite honestly, they were as lifeless as I've seen them all year, and most certainly the lifeless I've seen them since acquiring Harden. And I was very frustrated watching that game. There just wasn't a lot of anything going on, quite honestly. Go ahead. That was pretty much it for me.
No, I mean, Max, I do get what you're saying, because I was shocked when I checked the standings last night after the Heat game and saw that the Sixers were breathing down their necks. But then I took a step back, and I'm not praising the Brooklyn Nets for how they're playing this year, but I'm just saying, look at last year. There's no parades for getting the 1 seed in the East, and getting the 1 seed in the East sure as hell doesn't mean you're going to make it past the second round. So I guess I hear what you're saying, but it's what do my eyes tell me? and my eyes tell me I don't like what I see, and I don't like what I'm going to be seeing in the playoffs either. That's just my big takeaway.
There's a school of thought out there that the Sixers are doing whatever they can to avoid the Brooklyn Nets in the playoffs. And
I haven't heard this.
I don't think I think we're too far away from the end of the regular season to be discussing.
we're 12 games away, man. That's
But that
that's
stuff
around
doesn't
the
happen
corner.
until
So,
the
like,
last game or two. Like, really,
I know it's like realistically.
I mean, realistically, everyone should be trying to
know
avoid
that's
the
not
first
happening.
round, honestly.
Yeah, realistically, I know Doc Rivers and the Sixers staff and players are not jockeying for position to avoid the Brooklyn Nets. Realistically, I know that's not. I know that's not happening. But like in my head, I'm like, it's not the worst idea. Like these aren't the worst things to be happening. I don't know if I'm
you
like.
You want me to go tinfoil hat for you?
I love tinfoil hat backs.
You know who the Nets are currently trailing for the 7th seed?
Oh wow,
the Toronto Raptors.
Oh, stop.
That's incredible. I mean,
I hate
like,
that.
I mean,
I'm just saying,
are
you
we
wanted
really...
the tinfoil hat? You got the tinfoil hat?
Oh, I like it.
I love that. That's like, I don't know. Can we really discount the tinfoil hat when there's just like solid evidence right in front of us?
I think we might have just broke something big here, boys. When this starts going across the internet, we need to make sure that everybody knows this started here.
Yeah, because I mean, to me, in my head, is this the worst possible scenario that they are somehow looking like they're going to avoid a matchup with the Nets early on in the playoffs? I'm kind of happy about it because I don't like, and Josh, I like what you said earlier. There's a confidence issue, but I think the confidence issue is in the wrong place. I don't mind the bench players. I don't mind the minivan George Niang. I don't mind Shake Milton being hesitant when Joel Embiid and or James Harden are on the floor. That's fine. James Harden's confidence is what's shaky. So if they're going to be hesitant, Harden can't be passing up. Like we brought it up last time on the show. He tried to make a pass to Tyrese Maxey while Maxey was out of bounds. Like that tells me that's James Harden. That tells me that there's something going on mentally upstairs that he's not fully there. He's kind of worried about where he is game wise. Like if you're a top 75 player. People are going to be hesitant and want to defer to you on the court. That's just how it is. That's how it should be. But if that's the case, you need to be James Harden from the Rockets and at least take those threes. You need to at least take those attempts because if you don't, there's a good chance that you're going to end up with 8 or 9 turnovers, and that's how you lose to the Toronto Raptors in disgusting style when they don't even have Fred VanVleet or I almost said Kyle Lowry. Oh my God, they in fact don't have Kyle Lowry.
I mean, you wouldn't be wrong.
They breaking news. They in fact do not have Kyle Lowry. Yeah, James Harden can have a confidence issue.
Boys,
so
I want to go back to Max's tinfoil hat thing. I just did a quick little research. That was the lowest amount of points the Sixers have had in a game where Embiid has played since December 1st, 2021.
Wow.
I don't know.
Respect the tank.
I don't know. Just throwing that up there. Max, I'm all in on the tinfoil hat.
I think we need to start spreading this.
Let's fold up a tinfoil hat for all of us and talk about this last game against the Eastern Conference leading Miami Heat. So we're going to keep our tinfoil hats on for this and see where it takes us.
Oh boy.
Tyrese Maxey comes out with what I think was 28, 5, and 4 against the Miami Heat. Like I said, without Joel Embiid and James Harden. Another Shake Milton had 20 points. Furkan Korkmaz came out and shot, I want to say, above 50% from 3. I'm looking at the box score now. But, Josh, I got to come to you with this, my dude. Like, you told me how concerned you were just a couple minutes ago. So I want to ask you again, what kind of concern do you still have about the bench? Is the bench not as bad as we thought? Because last night they kind of told us that, hey, we're not as bad as you thought. And Furkan Korkmaz, again, 4 of 7, 18 points, by the way.
Ooh, pop that cork.
Yeah, no.
Shout out to Ethan. Huge fan of the Ewing theory here. If you're not familiar, it's After Ewing got
It's a good
taken
one.
off the Knicks got much better. You take Embiid and Harden out, Sixers get better. I feel like it does come to fruition more often than not. But in a one-game sample size, anything can happen. So I'm going to toss that out a little bit. Is the depth not as bad as we thought? And sure, I'm back in my old ways of overreacting, but I really do think that the depth might not be as bad as we originally thought, as long as you keep it tight. And I will hearken back to my original plan of staggering Maxey and Harden. If there look, there weren't any doubts, but last night was a solidifying that Maxey can run this team in the playoffs. Maxey can take over a game in the playoffs. You played the 1 seed, sure, it's the regular season, blah blah blah. That was I almost want to call it like an out of body game, but it's not an out of body game because Tyrese Maxey has shown it not just once. This isn't a flash in the pan. He has arrived. And that does make me extremely excited. And then you see a flash from Shake, which I said this about Dallas Goedert earlier in the year, where I think sometimes guys just need to see the ball go in. Guys just need to see themselves have a good game and get that confidence boost. They're reminded to themselves that, hey, I am an NBA player. I do belong here. And I don't think Shake's going to, spurt off for 15 a game now, and we're going to be talking about sixth man of the year like we were before. But myself included, I tend to forget about Shake's flashes. Sure, you're going to get Niang, you're going to get Furk, and they'll be hot and they'll be cold, and it's annoying. The center position is a huge problem. Digits, what do I need to say more than that stat? Are you kidding me?
So DeAndre,
I guess it's a little bit better. He did go +7 last night, so I guess
I was
Sure.
just about to.
it's a little bit better. But I mean, yes, backup center is definitely still, I would say, their biggest issue in terms of depth. One thing that I just want to say really quick, and this isn't so much in regards to our depth, but one thing that we do have to give the Sixers coaching staff credit for, they put Tyler Hero in a blender last night.
Yes. Finally.
Finally. It was finally the game where they pick on the bad defense, good at offense guy on the screen. Like Seth Curry got away
Duncan
with
Robinson,
murder.
by the way.
And Duncan Robinson. The Tyler Hero one stood out to me more. They seem to be a lot easier. And also the Heat are much more conscious of, like, Eric Spoelstra's been vocal that he actively hides Duncan Robinson whenever possible. If the two of them are on the court together, you can't hide both. And it seems like the Sixers ball handlers, like the guys who I saw take advantage of him a lot, Shake and Maxey, those are guys who want to get to the cup typically. So I think that just kind of works out a little bit better. Duncan Robinson's obviously a little bit slower, but he's a little bit bigger of a body. So I did want to mention that because that was something that I thought was pretty much the key factor in the Sixers being able to win that game, quite honestly. Tyler Hero was -15 last night. Plus minus isn't the end all be all. But I think that was definitely the one plus minus that stood out to me in the box score for either side. So that was just where I wanted to start. I think in terms of the Sixers depth, I mean, let's be honest. That was the Furk Maz, the Furk Maz explosion game, right? Like we get those once a month. We perfect time for one, quite honestly. Perfect time for one. Like maybe I would have liked it against the Nets, but they lost that game by 30. Even that might have been a wasted Furcon game. So I'm glad it was an important game like this. Like this is the game you need it. You don't need it in games where Embiid and Harden are both dominating. Like that's overkill, right? You need it in these games where one of them is missing or one of them is in foul trouble or something like that. Or in this case, obviously both were out for injury management or rest, whatever you want to call it. So I think that was the big thing that stuck out to me is that, the stars aligned on the right night for Furkan. And the last thing I want to say is in regards to Shake Milton, I've been super impressed by him since the James Harden trade. I think that he's probably been outside of like Tyrese Maxey was already getting there. And I think Maxey has clearly benefited from playing next to Harden. Whatever has shaken up in the Sixers locker room, or maybe just seeing Shake Milton kind of, be around a guy who kind of sort of plays like in a way, like obviously he's not as dominant of a player as Harden is, but I think in terms of like trying to break guys down off the dribble and look for a shot, I kind of see some similarities there. But anyway, that's a bit of a stretch, but just in terms of whatever's happened, I think Shake Milton is going to be the most important guy for the Sixers. Like I'm confident Niang will take and make a bunch of threes, but I think the games where the Sixers will see success in the playoffs, Shake Milton's going to be able to find his spot 4 to 6 times a night and go 3 for 5, 3 for 6, just chip in, somewhere between 6 to 10 points. And that's the difference in tight playoff games where you're winning by 4 or 6 is just having that that one guy who like every team has someone come on for them late in the season. It feels like, right? Like you can look at the Bucks last year. Like I think Bobby Portis was a really good example of someone who came alive late in the season for the Bucks and really was a major contributor for them down the stretch. I'm not expecting all that from Shake. I think that the way the Sixers are designed, it's probably not even a possibility that he has that much impact. But just in general, you need someone to kind of be your X factor going into the playoffs. And for me, it can't be a guy like Niang, who's clearly been the Sixers sixth man for the last couple of months at this point, right? Especially with Seth Curry and Andre Drummond. He's been the guy, like the main guy off the bench. So if Shake Milton can keep going like this, like I don't need him to shoot 4 for 4 from 3. I don't need him to be corner 3 sniper every game. I just need him to be effective because we can't afford to have too many black holes on offense when we're already putting 2 out there with Thibault and whoever is going to be the backup center for 8 minutes a game.
Dude, could you imagine if we didn't have to give up Drummond?
It would have been unfair. It really would have been unfair.
Because I'm looking at this roster, and going into the playoffs, your bench has to be George Niang, Shake Milton, Danny Green, and whoever's your backup 5.
Yep.
I forget that Danny Green.
But I mean, you do have to use Danny Green in the playoffs for a mix of people still for some reason respect him behind the 3-point line, and still for some reason think he brings at least something on the defensive end.
Oh.
I would disagree on both accounts, but he's
the ball's in front of him, he's okay. But as soon as it gets past, that's
he's won a bunch of rings. I get it. So that brings us to last night. Why in a game where James Harden and Joel Embiid are not playing, and you're just going to turn the keys over to Josh, like you said, the adults are out of the room? Why did Charles Bassey not even suit up?
That's a great
and Paul Reed got 0 minutes. We were just told last night that we're going into the playoffs with DeAndre Jordan, who, by the grace of God, upped his +/- last night to a -69. By the way, nice. We were just for a fact told that last night by Doc Rivers, who is by the day. I already have been on tape telling you that he is not a valid modern day NBA coach, and by the day he is just I didn't even know coffins needed this many nails in them, but he just keeps putting new ones in because this is not great at all.
Hey,
I don't know.
He took two nails out of that coffin in my mind last night by targeting Tyler Hero. I mean, that I've been dying for that.
Well, okay. What? All right. Too much credit. When we've been saying for past matchups with the Heat, hey, you should probably look at like Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero. Like they're not good defensively. And then Doc Rivers.
Remember what Kevin Huerter did against Seth Curry?
Whoa, all right.
Why don't we? No.
The red flash. Don't do this. All right. Not this road.
I'm backing you up, Banners. I'm saying if Kevin Huerter did that to Seth Curry, why isn't James Harden?
I know. Yeah, it's I don't know, Glenn. You got some just like Rob Manfred. Glenn's got some splaining to do because
I still think Manfred's got a much more splaining to do, but
there's a lot of splaining to go around. A lot of splaining. Got a lot of questions that need a lot of splaining. Speaking of that, so TLDR, bench scoring and playmaking is better than we thought it was. Bench defense is not in a good spot. Bench rebounding is also not in a good spot at all. So I'm really not sure where this
3 feet of the rim. I have faith, but
there's nobody.
That's about it.
Yeah, there's nobody on this Sixers team that attacks the offensive glass. Nobody.
I mean, you gotta give credit to. I mean, DeAndre Jordan had 4 last night. That's what he does, though. That's literally all he's good for at this point.
And they were 4
rebounds and 4 shot attempts. So he can't even get back up for a follow-up shot when he gets the offensive rebound. That's how washed.
All right. Speaking of splaining, let's talk about them Phillies, boys. Let us.
Yeah.
Let's talk about them Phillies, huh? Let's talk about them Phillies. So this is where we like to have some fun. Phillies are 3-4 games into spring training at this point. I can't remember. I've kind of lost count of how many hours I've already sunk into watching baseball. But it is now official. Kyle Schwarber joined the team earlier this week down in Clearwater, Florida, and it is now official as of earlier today, I believe, like 3 p.m. Nick Castellanos has signed and agreed to a 5-year, $100 million contract with this organization to put him in red pinstripes for the foreseeable future. They've also made some notable additions to the bullpen: Corey Knebel, Urias Familia, and boys. One addition that wasn't signed or traded for, but looked incredible today, returning from an injury. Our guy with possibly one of the better names in baseball, Sir Anthony Dominguez, came in, struck out the side, was touching 98 with his fastball with a great-looking slider. This Phillies team, boys, I don't think the rotation is going to be slightly above league average. But the defense is going to be bad. But the offense is going to be freaking sick. So
that's all I care about.
Max, look at this. Take a look at this new look Phillies roster. Tell me just how you're feeling. Just let all the good vibes out, and then wrap it up with: is this Phillies team a playoff team?
Whew, man, that's a lot.
I know. I want to hear you.
I'll be as quick as I can because I really want to get to you. Like, I'm excited to hear what you have to say. That's what I'm more excited for. And that'll be a deep drive into deep left by Castellanos to make it a 4-0 ball game.
Executed perfectly.
I had to. I mean, can I honestly say that's my favorite thing about this offseason is the fact that guy is a Philly. Like, Nick Castellanos is a great player. We now house, I should say, the man who spawned quite possibly maybe the most legendary sports meme of all time. Like,
certainly up there.
I don't know about you guys. I quite literally cannot read an apology letter or tweet or anything without I immediately just go to like the bottom third of it to see if someone is messing with me. Like I just I'm like, all right, let me see if this is fake or not before I take my time and read all this. Like Tom Brenneman changed the game, changed my life forever. Nick Castellanos got caught in the crossfire, but all I know is that if this Phillies team achieves anything, it will be because we have the power of the internet on our side now. But I'll keep it seriously as quick as I can. Castellanos is a great player. Schwarber is going to be, dear God, the fans are going to fucking love this guy. He said he loved coming to Philly for 2 reasons. 1 for cheesesteaks, and 2 was to hit in the ballpark because he knew it was easy to go yard in. What else could you say to make an instant imprint on a fan base? Add on to the fact that he's boys with Bryce, who I'm sure will inevitably, I think that's another important thing that I'll touch on, and then I'll give it over to Banners. Bryce Harper has been involved, and he's been vocal and positive about this offseason, and that's what you want from the guy who is the face of your franchise, who has the keys, who has all the power. Without Bryce Harper, neither of these signings happen, most likely, in my opinion. And I am excited for this team. You can always work on defense in baseball. It's much harder to score runs than it is to get 3 outs in an inning, I would say.
Josh, take a look at this roster. Tell me how you feel.
And I will
tell me what
you
see.
Because
on playoffs. I love it, Josh.
At least playoff contention. At least we have the hardest division in baseball, maybe, but
it's gonna be a bloodbath.
But at least
Josh, contention. Take a look at it. What do you feel? How do you say? What are you saying? And again, playoff teamer, yes or no?
I feel fantastic. Fellas, and it's a disease being a Philadelphia fan because we always do this thing every year where we look at the roster and we talk ourselves into them being good. And that is exactly what we've done for the last 3 years, right? In the post Harper era of the Philadelphia Phillies. Is that 3 years? Maybe 2.
This will be year 3, right?
This will be year 3? Yeah, this will be year 3. So every year that they've had Bryce Harper, personally, my eyes have lit up. I see Bryce Harper, and I say they're a good team because they've got these guys. We've got McCutchen. He was an MVP. Oh, Kingery, he'll come around. Oh, you know what I mean? And you piece it together. This year, there's no piecing it together. You replace McCutchen, you got Castellanos. Oh wait, there's more. You got Schwarber also. This bullpen. Let me just read out the bullpen. Corey Knebel, Alvarado, Sir Anthony, Familia, Brad Hand, Connor Brogdon, Sam Coonrod, Bradley Falter. That's like a projected, right, as of now. Is it the best
I'll take
bullpen
that.
in the league? Hell no. But oh my God. Max, you made this point last year, and it's why you picked the Phillies to make the playoffs, and I thought you were crazy, but I later in the season also said the Phillies would make the playoffs, so we're in it together, buddy. But the point you made that was so good was that the Phillies bullpen was historically bad. If they weren't historically bad, they literally would have made the playoffs. Well, they went out last year, and they were almost historically bad again as a bullpen.
Swing and a miss by me.
All
Only
good.
missed by 3 games.
Your logic was sound when you said it at the beginning of the season because I can talk myself into it. This year, you don't have to just talk yourself into it. You don't have to scratch and claw and talk about how great Matt Moore looked in Japan last year, which is exactly what I was doing. Sure, starting pitching is certainly a problem, but how can you not be gung-ho about your Philadelphia Phillies? We're talking about the Fightins.
Talking about
boys.
the Fightins.
And there it is. I mean, you had to do it. It's tough because it's easy to just say the same thing over and over again. But the bottom line is you got rid of guys who are serviceable and replaced them with elite hitters. It's as simple as that. And I'm anti-DH, fellas. I'm anti-DH, but boy, oh boy. I don't think I'm anti-DH after looking at this lineup because this really helps the Phils team. Yes, they're making the playoffs. No, they're not winning the division. Let's just little pump the brakes. But hey, you don't know what can happen. You get a wild card spot. This team has the bats where you can get hot, you can get on a run, and look, it'll be fun to watch this team play again. And let's not forget, Banners. I know you know it. There's not a total lack of talent at that AAA MLB tier that there's been for the last couple of years. Bryson Stott getting involved. Article I'm looking at right now has Scott Kingery making the opening day roster. I would be shocked. I mean, I can't have that happening, but you get what I'm saying. It's not like you don't have absolutely no one to pull from like you did the last few years.
This is exactly okay. Here we go. Dave Dombrowski has showed that men of a certain age can change, which I think is huge. You can officially now teach an old dog new tricks because Dave Dombrowski's MO was beforehand. Yeah, we're going to go for it, but I'm going to ruin your farm system. I am going to gut it. I'm going to come in and we're going to go to the playoffs. We're going to try and win a World Series, but I'm going to just everybody under the age of 20, see you. They're gone. Now, we didn't start from a very good base. But the Phillies farm system is actually pretty well balanced overall between positions. Maybe not high-end talent like there are across the leagues, but there is a pretty balanced farm system as of now. We'll move on to the MLB roster. He just future-proofed for Joe Girardi because you can't as long as you keep Bohm and Didi between 8 and 7.
It's so true.
You really can't go wrong. It's whoever's hot. Ideally you want Schwarber as an on base guy at 1 or 2. You can flip flop him with Segura depending on who's hot, who's hitting the ball inside the park more. Because if Segura's just knocking those singles and doubles, put Schwarber at 2 because he's gonna hit the ball out of the park.
Hell yeah.
Bryce stays 3. That's just how it goes.
Absolutely.
Castellanos and Hoskins can swap 4 and 5. Even JT can be in there.
Sure.
When he's hot. You literally cannot do this wrong if you keep Bohm and Didi at 7 and 8. It's just how it goes. Now, I usually don't do this, and this is the only time I think I will ever be able comfortably do this. I'm very glad Odubel Herrera got hurt. I have never wished an injury on anybody, but I think I am okay to do that and say, good, fuck you, sit down, I don't want you as my center fielder. Now, I kind of feel crazy saying that because my follow-up is I want to give Scott Kingery a shot in center field.
Whoa! The other shoe has finally dropped.
Yes. So, Nick Maton needs to make this opening day roster for infield defense. He also swings kind of I like the OBP of his bat. He needs to make the team for infield defense. But I need to give Scott Kingery one more chance. I do. Kevin Long is extremely well respected around the league as a hitting coach. If he can give me 3/4 of what Scott Kingery was supposed to be and let him play center field, boys, I'll see you on Broad Street, because that's your 9-hole hitter right there, turning the lineup over. That is a complete roster. That's done. We're good. Like, that is, I don't care anymore. Let's go. So this is going to be weird, because there are going to be days that we're going to see Harper in center field when people are getting days off. But I really like this DH thing, because again, there's like, it gives Joe one more position to not screw up. Like, it's just, hey, like, you know what? He needs to take a day off in the field. Have him DH. Like, the Phillies kind of lucked out. They really did. They were one of the benefactors of the CBA. Hey, here's $20 million more to go spend, while also being able to hide like 3 or 4 of your guys. Like, that sound good? And John Middleton's sitting back there. He's trying to be like one of those guys that like didn't do the homework, and the teacher's like, I don't know. I'm considering not checking the homework. And John's sitting back there. Oh, please, real close. Dawson, play it cool. And like, somebody tries to raise their hand and be like, no, like, he slaps the shit out of their hand. No, say nothing. So the Phillies kind of lucked out here. And boys, we're looking pretty good. And I'll tell you what, I immediately, Nick Castellanos agreed to terms at like 12:43 at night. I had opening day I had opening day tickets purchased before 12:50.
Oh,
Easiest money spent. Easiest money spent of my life. I'm going. See, Citizens Bank Park, 54,000 people strong, and I'm sitting in right field right above Bryce. So
that's the dream.
Let's go. Obviously, this is a playoff team. Let's go.
What day is
Let's go.
day,
all right.
Officially?
April 8th. April 8th. So I'll be there as well. I will be there
that's
as well.
already. Let's go.
3:05 game. Let's do this.
Real quick wrap up here on the hype train for the Phillies. Banners, when you said teach an old dog new tricks, 2 old dogs got new tricks because he got John Middleton to spend. He got Middleton to go over the luxury tax. That is a very new trick. And then the final thing that I just you were alluding to it is the best part about this is 7-8-9, because of, like you were saying, like, they sign Odubel and the reports come out that it's going to be a Vierling Herrera platoon in center field, and I'm spitting out my cereal, I'm banging on the table. How am I supposed to sign up for this? And then especially with the DH, it's like, well, someone's got to bat 9th. You know, you're not going to have friggin' Chase Utley hitting 9th. So what if Vierling and Odubel want a platoon and hitting the 9th spot? I don't care. It's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? What's better than opening day? It's just a fresh. They could be 162-0.
Right now,
no, they can't be, because they're not playing that many games this year.
That's right.
We're keeping it. We're 0-0 right now, but the Phillies are consensus a playoff team here, boys, and that's exactly what we wanted to hear.
Banners,
Golly, I can't wait.
The expanded playoffs starting this year.
12 teams.
Yeah, it's 6 each.
Which I don't know. I hope they don't go 14. 12 is already pretty.
14 is too much, but I do think that the more like having only 8 teams make the playoffs after 162 games feel always, to me, as someone who's not a baseball purist or like a baseball guy, it always felt like a little. Like, yeah, sure, it's a little bit more exclusive for the guys that make it in, but like so many teams finish like so close to, like, so clumped together. Like at the end of the year, there's always wild card races, and I don't know. It always felt like, damn, just, a couple games here or there separates you from 7 months of playing, from not having that extra shot. So I like the move to 6 teams. A conference? Conference isn't the right word, is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Well, league technically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with 12 because they got rid of the bullshit rules. Like, you can the ones like the reseeding after the wild card round, and then you get to pick your opponents. Like that stuff was crap.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with 12 because they got rid of
just
all
make
that
it a
crap.
bracket.
So
it's always so crazy how sport, like, it's not even sports leagues, just in general. This was a little bit off topic here, but just like how people change things just to like make them different. Like example I have in mind, LinkedIn changed like their one format for Sales Navigator, and this you guys don't get it, and I get it, but it's just like they changed it just to change it, and it's worse. Like it's objectively worse. It doesn't work as well. And like for the example, like reseeding and choosing your opponents. What sport league in history has ever let you choose what opponent you're playing in the playoffs? Like doing something different just to be different is usually the worst thing, I would say. So, right.
Yeah, it's up there. Oh boy, play ball. All right. Favorite segment here. March Madness. Let's talk about it. Bracket Busters. That's our halftime. Let's talk about them. Winners and losers. Go as we do. Everybody who follows the show, as you know. Actually, you know what? Perfect time for a plug. If you're not with us live, you know where to catch us. Anywhere you get your podcast, Apple, Spotify, Anchor, anywhere in between. If you find somewhere we're not, you let us know. We'll get there. But as we do for our favorite segment, winners and losers, we're going to go around with our losers first around the screen. Josh, your losers of the tournament.
My loser would be everyone who listened to Jay Billis and their friends, because there are a couple of hot teams that just everyone was on for some reason, and I didn't agree. Like Iowa. Like so many people were talking about Iowa. Iowa this, Iowa that. Like it was a very ESPN thing to like pump up Iowa. And what do you know? They go out in the first round. I just had another. There's another one I was also thinking of that was like that was a very hot team that people were picking. They also lost in the first round, man. But I guess I'll stick with the Iowa trope because it's effective. Like you got games like Kentucky and St. Peter's. Who sees that coming? But people really thought Iowa would go. Oh, Auburn. Auburn was the other team. A lot of people were hype on Jabari Smith and oh, what a talented team. I watched Auburn this year. I won money on them until I was losing money on them, and I saw you don't bet on a team who builds their entire game plan around a freshman. So for all those people who read about Jabari Smith and how talented he is, and oh, Iowa, they can score. They got Keegan Murray, the number one scorer. Losers. Do your own research.
Max, before you tell us your losers, I just want to tell you guys, this is just came across the wire from The Athletic. Bernie Sanders has set his sights on the antitrust case that is the MLB.
Oh.
So hilarity might ensue, boys, because Rob Manfred might not have to explain to me, but he might have to explain to somebody who's trying to drain the swamp. So see how that goes. Max, who's your loser so far?
Oh man, I kind of feels like a little bit of a cop out taking a team that just that just lost their first game. I don't know. I can't do Kentucky, can I?
Kentucky be a good one.
Like Kentucky, I have to, right? Like I have to. It's just as someone who had Kentucky in their Final Four and at one point had them in their title game, like I'm looking just as dumb as everyone else who believes. So you have to be a loser when you lose the most lopsided, like when you're the victim of the most lopsided athletic funding defeat in March Madness history. That was a whole tongueful to say, and I probably messed it up somewhere along the way. But what I'm trying to say, St. Peter's, not a lot of money. Kentucky, a whole lot of money. Biggest difference between a school that that lost to its opponent in NCAA March Madness history. So it's got to be Kentucky.
The loser is chalk. Like it's yeah. And I love it. I love that. I mean, Baylor goes down. Even 8 and 9 matchups are tight, but like Boise State, UConn, like these are great games that are people are losing. There's more. Illinois, Illinois versus Houston, but Colorado State, like this is Iowa, obviously. I guess a loser could be the Jackrabbits from South Dakota State. A lot of people were on them, including our own guy there, Josh. The chalk has not been great. Obviously, Kentucky as well. Iowa. That's always good for parity. I love these small schools. I love the smaller guys getting in, and the guys who are sitting at like 5 or 6 in their conference, going into the conference tournaments and coming out and destroying these big blue bloods. So going back around with our winners now, Josh, who is your winner so far in this March Madness?
It's kind of a lame one. I mean, St. Peter's is the obvious winner, so I just feel like you don't need to say it. But I'd say the winner is just toughness because you're not
Mm.
really seeing skill. You're not seeing guard play. You're not seeing star players win these games. You're not seeing shooting, right? Like sometimes it's like, oh, 3-pointers. Like you're not seeing any of that be the decider about winning these games. Like I don't if you fellas watch that Baylor UNC game, but like that was just a battle from front to back, and it was whatever team was going to give up first. And Baylor just exhausted everything to get back into the game. And they had nothing left in overtime. This has been a really chippy, hard fought tournament, I feel like, in all realms. Like, even that Memphis game, like, it wasn't Gonzaga's necessarily skill that had them pull it out. It's they out toughed Memphis. They got Jalen Duran in foul trouble towards the end of that game, and that's how Gonzaga was able to pull away. I mean, you're just seeing these teams gut out these games. And listen, my bracket's looking pretty good right now, so I don't want to be tooting my own horn too much. But I made picks based on experience a lot more than I ever have before, and I think you're starting to see like that whole coaching experience, that toughness, really being a bigger factor in the tournament than I can remember, honestly.
Max, your winner.
Oh man, it's tough to pick one team. So I don't. I'll give you two. One, I have to eat crow on Michigan.
Oh, that should
I
be
didn't
my
really
winner,
think
yeah.
they even deserved to be in the tournament. I thought that they were overseeded, and they maybe should have been
Definitely
first four out. They pulled off back-to-back upsets and have made their fifth straight Sweet 16 appearance. So it goes right into what Josh is saying about experience and toughness. Like should have known. Like I've been riding with Michigan a lot the last couple of years, and I turned away from a hand that's fed me, and shame on me for that. The other one that I have to shout out is North Carolina. They took it personally, getting seeded as an 8 seed, and let's be honest, like I don't know if you guys watched that game, that was the ref show of the tournament so far, and North Carolina was able to take down the defending national champions and Zebras at the same time. So I thought that was a really that's been the best game of the tournament, I would say personally, in terms of like quality of game, like super high scoring, overtime drama, all that stuff. But North Carolina really pulled it out, and they did look really good for a majority of that game. But they did choke like a huge lead for what it's worth.
Yeah, that's going to be the North Carolina UCLA is going to be a fantastic game. My winner's got to be myself because I picked this Cinderella team, this Iowa State Cyclone team, because that's also going to be a very fun game between Iowa State and Miami and Miami. That's like I love it that chalk is also the winner, and these teams that are coming out of like the I lost my train of thought, but I love what we're getting between these teams like Miami and Iowa State. Villanova, Michigan's kind of I don't really expect much out of that game. That's probably the game I'm least looking forward to of this Sweet 16. It's going to be kind of a drag to watch.
Michigan is hot. They're confident. Villanova is a finely tuned machine, but Michigan is definitely a team that, like, if they're playing their best, they do have experience and they do have some decent talent there. I don't know.
Yeah. Just that game against Ohio State for Villanova, while it was an exciting game, it wasn't, like Josh, like you said, it wasn't a particularly skilled game. Like it was dramatic, but there wasn't much to it. It was all grit and determination. So, I mean, you got to give Villanova credit. They are, Max, exactly what you said, a machine. They are one of the nation's best free throw shooting teams.
Defense. Villanova plays some excellent defense.
They do. It's just like that's tough to watch sometimes a lot, especially once you're going against. So we'll see. I love it. But these Iowa State Cyclones, man, I love it. They're my winner, and I think they're going to beat Miami. And I think they're going to go to this Elite Eight, and I'm here for it, boys. I'm here for it. Give me an 11 seed. You know what? I can't say it. I don't want them to be. I want Villanova to continue on, but I was going to say give me 2 11 seeds in the Elite Eight. I can't do it. Villanova, I can't do it. That's our winners and losers, and we'll give you another round of winners and losers next week because we still have March Madness to talk about. Second half coming up, going to be rapid fire, and that being said, we'll get right into it. Let's have some fun here, boys. March Madness, we're going to stick with it, actually. We're going to stick right here in the tournament. Rapid fire. Repick your Final Four. You get a chance to redo it. We're turning back the time. We're turning back the clocks, all right? Turning back the clocks, and you are going to repick your Final Four, okay? So we're going to go through it right now with the teams that we have. Gonzaga, Arkansas. Texas Tech, Duke. North Carolina, UCLA. Purdue, St. Pete's. Arizona, Houston. Michigan, Villanova. Kansas, Providence. Iowa State, Miami. Josh, I know you know who you're going with. Repick your Final Four.
All right, yeah. So I will not be taking Gonzaga. I refuse to do it. It's just lame. And I also think they're slightly overrated. So from that region, I originally had Arkansas, and while I don't feel horrible about it, if I could repick, I would go with Texas Tech. They are playing lights out. They were a team I liked going into this region, but ultimately just didn't side with them. Going down, I have UCLA winning the whole damn thing, but boys, I am shaking in my boots about this matchup Friday night. So screw it. I have to be honest with you. I am going to pick UNC to come out of that region based on how they're playing right now.
Come on, Josh, that's soft. You can't bail on your national champion.
Listen, man, Jaime Jacques is the reason I picked UCLA, and he looked pretty worse for wear after that game. If he didn't get hurt, I would have stuck with my guns, but I'm pretty sure he's going to play Friday night, but you never know. You never know. Going around Midwest and South, I think it's kind of chalk. Give me Nova out of the South, and give me Kansas out of the Midwest. I'm not getting crazy there. But yeah, fellas, that's what we're going with. That's my repick. My original pick, just to get it out there, is Arkansas, UCLA, Kansas, and Villanova. So my original Final Four is still very much alive.
Max, repick your Final Four. And
All
we
right,
got Key Films. He's got Duke going all the way. I'm sorry, I just can't get behind you with Duke. I don't believe in that team where your best player is Paolo Banchero. I can't do it. Can't do it, Max.
Agreed. So my current, the Final Four that I picked was Gonzaga, Kentucky, and then Villanova, Kansas. I will do some shuffling here. I'm going to stick with Gonzaga. I do think that they will continue to win close and gritty games. Like, that team is basically the same as it was last year. Coach included, they lost one major piece, but their other guards, have filled in and left and filled the gap that Jalen Suggs left when he got drafted. Going down to the East, this is the only region where I don't have anyone alive. I'm also going to go with North Carolina. I had them getting to this point. I had them losing to UCLA, but I think that they've looked incredible. And I do think that UNC is going to be an amazing game. I think it's going to be like a really tight game. I think it's going to be good until the end. I think I'll just take I'll take the team from the better conference here. Iron sharpens iron kind of deal. And then in the South, I have Villanova, but I'm going to come clean, boys. I put a live future in on Arizona at plus 600 to take home the title this year.
Not bad.
I've been watching them. I've been very impressed. They did kind of melt down a little bit in the second half of the TCU game, but they have been extremely fluid. They've been kind of a machine as well. And for a one seed, they've been flying under the radar for the most part. Playing in, they played the late game, like the latest game of the slate both times they've played. I don't know. I just caught a vibe from Arizona, and I will be cheering for, on a personal level, if Arizona and Villanova were to play. That would be like picking my favorite kid. But whoever would win that matchup would be the personal favorite of mine to who I'd be pulling for the rest of the way. And then I can't bail on Kansas, who I did pick as my national champion. So basically putting all my eggs in that bottom half of the bracket, that either Arizona will make me some money, or at least I'll have my pride from the very beginning with Kansas.
So I think I'm really only changing my Eastern Division here, boys. I got to go Zags here, coming out of the West. I'm going to go UCLA coming out of the East. I think that's, like I said, this is the North Carolina UCLA is going to be a spectacular game to watch. I'm really looking forward to that. Picking UCLA to come out of the East. The South, I'm sticking with Houston here, boys. I really like the way I got to do it. I got to do it. They are the perfect matchup for Arizona. Arizona just has the size. They don't. I don't feel like they have the athleticism to keep up with Houston. I don't believe in the hot streak Michigan's on, and you can only guard guards for so long in tournaments like this. They're bound to. We haven't seen guard play tick up yet in this tournament. You can only guard guards for so long until they figure out how to get their mojo going. So I like Houston coming out of the South still. And then I got Kansas coming out of the Midwest after beating Iowa State in the Elite Eight, because that's just how it's going to go.
I agree with
Life
that.
ain't fair.
So yeah, I'm only changing up the East here because obviously I have to. Oh boy, I don't even want to get into that. Rapid fire, we're sticking with it here. Second question of rapid fire is turning back to baseball. MLB free agency. Let's talk about it. Who's gotten the best in free agency? And I'm going to take the Phillies off the table because that's the obvious answer. The Phillies got the best in the MLB free agency. So I'm going to make you choose another. Josh, who got the best other than the Phillies in MLB free agency?
Oh boy. Okay. So, it's tough. I mean, I guess maybe like compared to where they were, you could say like the Rockies, but I'm not going to do that because they're still bad. I fear the Mets. I fear the Mets more than I feared them last year. And I don't like saying that. And I don't think they marginally got the best compared to last year. Like, if that makes any sense. Like, guys, I think they started off pretty well. But holy hell. They got Max Scherzer, guys. And that seems like a guy that you can't met up. And that's hard. Like, the Mets can ruin anyone. And I just feel like they can't do it to Scherzer, can they? And then after that, they got Chris Bassett, who I have like so much respect for. Like, that's just a guy that like
Bassett.
I see that guy on the MLB card. I'm like, boom, I'm betting on the A's tonight. There's no doubt about that. And now he's on the Mets. And it's just, you start looking around at that team, and they had a pretty disastrous season last year. You got to imagine they can't be worse than that. I hate saying this. It makes me so hurt, but I think it's the Mets.
Woof. Max, who won MLB free agency besides our Phils?
Look, I never claimed to be a guy to come to about all things MLB.
Sure.
I'm a simple man. The Dodgers added Freddie Freeman, who's the reigning World Series MVP. I'm not a very smart man when it comes to baseball. All I know is that the Dodgers somehow got Freddie Freeman, who's the reigning World Series MVP, after losing in the NLCS or making the NLCS for like the 6th straight year or something like that, right? It's something ridiculous. The Dodgers are a wagon every single year, and if you can't beat them, give them more money and they'll come to you. So
this one might surprise you guys. I'm gonna go with the Minnesota Twins because they signed an absolute mercenary contract with Carlos Correa, who basically controls every year outside of the first two with his deal in Minnesota. They were able to go out and clear Josh Donaldson's like $45 million contract, send him to the Yankees to be able to pay Carlos Correa. They were able to take advantage of the Cincinnati Reds, who I would, if I was Dave Dombrowski, I would still be looking to call the Cincinnati Reds and pillage what is left of them. They were able to take advantage and get Sonny Gray from them, add to a pitching staff.
Right, yep.
And there was one more move that I liked from them, but like that is just like way to pull yourself out of the basement of what is. I mean, you talk about a team. The Minnesota Twins 3 years ago hit the most home runs ever in an MLB season, and then they come back and absolutely tank. Like tanking isn't even a good word. They were hurt. Byron Buxton got hurt again. They just absolutely shot themselves in the foot just as they were getting out of the bed at the hospital. So good for them. You got Carlos Correa, possibly the best free agent on the market. So we got last one, and this one's fun because we're going to the NFL. And Jeff Mosher from Inside the Birds, who gives you everything Eagles you could ever want, coined the phrase that I have been using for a couple days. The NFL is drunk. It is intoxicated, and somebody needs to drive it home because Lord knows the NFL has its problems with drunk driving already. Boys, let's go through these roster moves, and you got to rank them for me, okay? So, you know what? Now, I don't want to – ranking could be tough with this order. Grade them for me, okay? Let's grade them for me. Josh, Matt Ryan to the Colts.
It's controversial. I give it an A-. I really
A-.
I feel like it's controversially high. I mean, like, because the only reason I give it an A- is because look at what the Colts have done the last 2 seasons. You made the playoffs and looked good with Phillip Rivers. You were a Carson Wentz meltdown away from making the playoffs the second year. The track record is there that Colts are a good team. You give them a quarterback who just doesn't suck, and you'll probably make the playoffs with Jonathan Taylor. Like, they went from a team that was just screwed to having Matt Ryan. Like, I think the Colts, that was like a perfect, you give a third rounder, you got a guy who can hand the ball off to Jonathan Taylor and not turn it over that much. That's an A- move in my book.
Max, Matt Ryan to the Colts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go A-. I was thinking B+. I think it kind of fits like a glove here. Like, the Falcons are the one who's eating all of this dead money. The Colts are not really having to pay. They're not breaking the bank for this move by any means. They got 2/3 in exchange for Captain Commander. So, they basically got Matt Ryan for half of Carson Wentz, which I think equates to a pretty good piece of business when, all is said and done.
That's a good one. Captain Commander. I don't know. This is like a strong C+ for me. You know what? No, I'll move it to a B- strictly because of the money. Like, Matt Ryan as a player doesn't really do it for me anymore. He's going to throw for a bunch of yards, but like doesn't throw for many touchdowns. And that was when he had Calvin Ridley. Like, what? Like Michael Pittman is not better than Calvin Ridley. So they lost Zach Pascal. So I don't know. But who's he going to be throwing to? Just a whole lot of tight ends. I don't know. That doesn't really do it for me. Second move. I am over the moon. Boys, he can know the bad man's gone, or the bad man's son is gone. The other half of the bad man has left. Davante Adams to the Las Vegas Raiders. Josh, grade this.
Oh, I don't even know how to grade this. This was a move for me where it's like, why? Like, why? Like, what are we doing here? I don't know. I think it's like sure, it's like a really good move because you added Davante Adams. But at the same time, it's like on a franchise tag, right?
No, they extended him, I'm pretty sure. No, he got like the biggest deal ever by any non-quarterback.
Well, then I take that back. I've been pretty all over the place. This is an A. Are you kidding me? This is an A. You added the best receiver. You've added the best receiver in the NFL. It doesn't get much more simple than that. And excuse me for my Eagles bias here. I'm so sick and tired of taking these draft picks and getting nothing out of them. Why not get the best player in the NFL, more or less, for a first and a second? I understand the NFL values draft picks an awful lot, but give me guaranteed excellence over a maybe in the future, any day of the week.
Max, your grade for the trade that sent Davante Adams to Sin City.
I'll be honest. I give this a C. This stinks of Broncos-itis, where the Raiders just needed to do something to keep up with the rest of their division. And yeah, like Davante Adams has been vocal in the past about wanting to go to Las Vegas. Him and Derek Carr are boys, and that's no secret to anybody who knows about their personal relationships. Like, they grew up together, I think.
College roommates.
College roommates, that's what it is. Yeah, college roommates. So it's no surprise that he goes there. On one hand, it is a great deal. Like, the dude is a great player. On the other hand, like I don't want to downplay how good Davante Adams is, but let's look at what, let's call a spade here. Aaron Rodgers gave him a absolutely ridiculous target share compared to everybody else on that offense, and did so for years upon years upon years. The Raiders have Darren Waller, who's probably better than any other receiving option Davante Adams has ever played with. And, that probably helps in terms of you have to, respecting the offense as a whole. But is it really going to be
Hunter Renfro's a volume guy too?
Exactly. Hunter Renfro's a volume guy too. Like, Hunter Renfro didn't take off until Waller went out last year. I don't know. I think that I think that Devontae Adams is definitely the Porsche to Derek Carr's trailer park, and I just like how the Raiders, like, great job to the Raiders last year for overcoming adversity and making the playoffs, but I don't know, are they still you can't call them definitively the best team. I don't even think you could argue that they're tied for the best team. Like, as far as I'm concerned, I still have the Chiefs as one, and you can like debate and convince me about who's 2, 3, and 4 in that division. Like, I would personally go Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, Raiders, given all factors included. But like, I certainly could see you making the argument for pretty much any order of those three. So that division just gets more coin flippy. And the Raiders need to do something. We talked about this with Russell Wilson. Like, sometimes you got to make a move to keep up with the Joneses. And the Raiders just had to give $232 million to the best receiver in football to do that. So it is what it is, but it certainly feels like this isn't going to be worth all the money when it's all said and done.
Yeah, speaking of that money, it is $28 million a year for somebody who's turning 30 in a couple months. Listen, we all went to college here. I love my college roommate with all my heart. But I know if we worked with each other every day, it wouldn't be a very good mix, okay? There's some things that are left for the past and on holidays. Derek Carr is one of those things. Derek Carr is not Aaron Rodgers. I am going to give this trade an A- because it got him off the Packers. But for the Raiders, this is a C+ because you are now paying a 30-year-old wide receiver $28 million to be throwing the ball by Derek Carr in Las Vegas. Don't get me wrong. I think this is going to do good things for them. I think they're going to fight for that last wild card spot. But, like, I don't know. You're going to combat trading for Russell Wilson with trading for Devon. Like, I don't see how they equate. You know what I mean? Like, it's Justin Herbert's a star. So the Chargers said, screw it. We're going to go get stars everywhere else on the team. The Broncos said, we're really good. We just need a Hall of Fame quarterback to compete. They went and did that. And the Raiders said, yeah, we're all right. Like, let's go overpay a wide receiver. That doesn't really work out to me. That the math's not there. Like, they can't show, like, the Raiders can't show me their work. Mark Davis isn't one of those guys that can show me his work. So C+ for the Raiders, A- overall, because good job. You did it. Oh, man. Next one. Von Miller to the Bills. Josh, what do you say?
I don't like this one. I mean, look, he's been good, right? Von Miller, he's shown to be good over 30, but like we were talking about with all the other teams making moves, to me, this wasn't that move where I go, oh, watch out for the Bills. Like, I'll give it a C+. Like, yeah, it's really good. Von Miller's a fantastic player, but you're not getting 28-year-old Von Miller, and what, like 5 years or like 4 years? Like, it was
Since 4 years, I think.
6.
Was it 6?
I mean, it's the
good for him.
The number that was put out there was 6 for 120. Well, I'm just going to jump in here because I give this a hard D, and the details of the contract came out, and it basically is just like any other, essentially 4-year contract, and the Bills are not going to be paying him until he's like 38 or whatever. But in general, the signing doesn't really make sense to me. I think the Bills needed like an edge, like needed more pass rush. But I don't think that Von Miller was the way to do that. Like, their team with so few holes, like, they didn't need to break the bank on Von Miller to do that when, they're probably going to be eyeing that up in the draft or potential trade. Like, I don't know. I think that I should say this. I think any team that would have signed Von Miller this offseason would have got like a D because he's coming off a pretty good playoff run. He is still a big name. He is a marketable guy. I think that at this point he is no more really than just a really, really good pass rusher. Like, he is not an every down defensive end. He's not a guy that plays more than probably like 70% of snaps now, if that. And I can't imagine that's going to be any higher as he continues to age.
Yeah, the contract's interesting because the void years are now like the trendy thing to do in the NFL with contracts towards the end of the agreed upon term. So like you said, pretty standard 4-year contract with those void years tacked on at the end. But the Bills, the reason why the Bills lost was not having Von Miller. So, like,
if I'm the
it
Bills, I'm
doesn't-
giving all that money to Tyrann Mathieu.
right. It's the reason why the Bills Von Miller picking Von Miller up from Los Angeles and putting him in Buffalo doesn't change what happened to them last year. So for me, that's a hard C because Von Miller is a very good player. He's a very good pass rusher still. And not only that, he's a very good pass rusher when it counts still. He had an amazing playoff run. So, you know, maybe he's one of those guys that knows how to take care of his body and preserve all that energy for the playoffs. Right on. But, like, that's a C for me. That's a lot of money for not a fix to why you lost.
I'm going to upgrade to a D plus because you did kind of mention it. Like he gets it done when it matters, and I think that's ultimately what the Bills needed. They needed a defensive leader last year, right? Like there's no way that an organized defense lets that happen with 13 seconds to play, right? Yeah. So I definitely think part of that is an experience championship tax, but the contract itself was still too much, and just they're trying to squeeze the square peg into the round hole, I think.
Watch out for the Bills, though. Let's not forget they were missing Tre'Davious White for that whole playoff run. So watch out. The Bills are still a good team. Let's see. Moving on right along. Chandler Jones to the Raiders. We just talked about the Raiders. We're going right back to Sin City. Josh, quickly. Chandler Jones to the Raiders.
Now, I mean, I love Chandler Jones, but this is a B because it's an A for one reason. It's Chandler Jones. That's pass rush city. But kind of like exactly we were talking about the Bills, I don't know that this is exactly where it's like, oh, it's fixed. The defense is fixed. You got Chandler Jones. I kind of feel like the run defense leaves a lot to be desired. And we saw towards the end of the season last year, the book was out. You beat the Raiders with the run. I don't think that necessarily saves it. So I'll give it a B because Chandler Jones, but same thing with the Bills, not the be-all, end-all.
Max, Chandler Jones to the Raiders.
Yeah, I like B as well. He's replacing Yannick Ngakoue, who's on his way out or has already left. I think that Chandler Jones is probably similar caliber of player. He's older than Ngakoue is, but yeah, I think this is just kind of like it kind of feels just like a straight swap, right? Like they're just like, hey, this guy is kind of like the guy we just lost. I think that just the water remains level.
Yeah, he's an upgrade over Yannick. Ngakoue does literally nothing in the run game, and at least Chandler Jones tries in the run game. But the Raiders need cornerbacks. Like there's guys playing off the street from Las Vegas for the Raiders at cornerback. So I just don't like. You could have went out and thrown some money at Gilmore. I don't see it. But again, they don't really have any more money. So. I don't know. It's a strong C- for me because I would give it more if it was just adding Chandler Jones, but this is more along the lines of a lateral move when you could have addressed something else, a higher position of need. All right, and this is the last one we'll end with. The Bucs getting the band back together. They did it. They said their band's back and they're going on tour. We'll see how ticket sales do. I'm not promising anything. Josh, all these free agent moves, with the latest one being re-signing Leonard Fournette.
All right, I'm both happy that JJ isn't here, but I'm both sad that JJ isn't here. I'm happy he's not here because we don't have enough time to talk about this. I give it a D-. And fellas, I just think at some point you got to know when to say goodbye. At some point you got to know we won our Super Bowl, we had a good run last year, maybe let's start fresh. Tom Brady comes back. I don't think he's going to be Mr. Perfect. I don't think he's going to be horrible. I think the Bucs will make the playoffs, but you're just prolonging this inevitable reset. And I think the biggest part of this Bucs getting the band back together is people don't care about the drummer and the bass player, but sometimes that's what your band needs. And I'm talking about Mr. What was it? Was Ryan Jensen? No, excuse me. Ryan Jensen's back. It's Ali Marpet and Alex Kappa being gone. I mean, you don't think about the drummer and the bass player when you think about bands, but they're damn important. And now you got Chris Godwin with the torn ACL. I just think that it's like, yay, we're going to make the playoffs this year. We got one more year of Tom Brady. Let's make money and sell tickets this year before the inevitable crash that's coming very soon in Tampa Bay. I'm out on it. I mean, look, if you're JJ, if you're a Tampa Bay Bucs fan, you got to be going crazy right now. But I just think it's going to have a messy ending when it's all said and done.
Max.
I will say I'm going to say like a B minus because they need to make these moves, right? Like you can't just lose everyone when Tom Brady's coming back. But I do think that losing both your starting guards is certainly never anything you want to have happen, especially when your quarterback is a statue, right? Like Tom Brady is a statue as it gets at this point. Like the dude is almost 45 years old. He needs and traditionally the best way to get to him has been pressure through the middle, right? Like if you want to beat Brady, you got to beat him with 4 and you got to get in his face, right? Like you do that through the middle and not having having 2 new guards in what is still a pretty good offensive line, or I guess we'll have to see how they get replaced, but what has the makings of a good offensive line. It will be something to pay attention to for sure. I think that Bucs team is, they're clearly going to contend for a Super Bowl. Like they're still pretty good. They still have a Super Bowl winning caliber quarterback. Like not every team can say that. If you have a guy that good on your roster, you gotta go for it. So I understand, I understand the vision, right? I get where they're coming from, but losing 2 starting offensive linemen is not the place to start.
I got to give this an E+, and it's worse than a D, but I don't want to give it an F just because you brought Tom Brady back. But this is so. The Bucs just admitted that they have no clue how to find talent. I don't know why, because you can look at what Tom Brady and the Patriots did for so long. Why are you wasting money on Leonard Fournette? Whereas you're literally dumping that money into a fire. There's no reason to do that. Go get a running back in the 3rd round. Let him run for 600 yards. You'll win. It's not that hard. I like the Carlton Davis re-signing, but you just letting Kappa and Marpe retired. I get that, but letting Kappa walk out the door is just financially irresponsible when you turn around and hand it to Leonard Fournette, who is just it makes no sense. You basically admitted that you have no clue what you're doing and you lucked out and you're trying to you were holding on for dear life to that 1 year where you won a Super Bowl. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but you didn't learn anything from what Bill Belichick did all those years in New England. You can find a running back wherever. It would be a really cool trivia question. Name everybody who's been a running back behind Tom Brady, and you would get some weird names thrown out there.
Before we end, I have to disagree a little bit with the Leonard Fournette stuff. I get in general the whole principle of running back and money. Brady's always been at his best when he has a pass-catching running back that he trusts, and if they don't have Fournette, he has nothing close to that, especially in a year without Chris Godwin. I actually think Leonard Fournette, I think bringing him back is a really important piece to them, even having a chance to have a Super Bowl run, honestly.
Woof. I don't know. I just think you can find this guy's dime a dozen anymore.
You can find runners a dime a dozen, but you can't find guys who have Brady's trust and are good pass catching. I think that's the important thing. Look at the Eagles. We drafted. You can draft a running back in a decent spot. Like Miles Sanders is a prime example. Great. Miles Sanders is a great runner. He's a dime a dozen runner. If you put Miles Sanders on the Buccaneers, he would look awful because of what the running backs are expected to do in the context of that offense.
Agree to disagree. I can't get behind it. It's you're clinging. They want to hold on. I don't blame them for wanting to hold on to it.
I think letting Alex Kappa leave is egregious. That is the number one move they should have made in general, regardless if Brady's coming back or not. But I think knowing that Brady's back, I think bringing back Fournette for a relatively reasonable contract, in my opinion, is a must do, because or else you're going into next season with no running backs, with Keyshawn Vaughn as the only guy that was there last year, because Gio Bernard was just a 1 year deal and Fournette would have left in that case. So you'd be trusting Keyshawn Vaughn in his 2nd year and a rookie to both pass block and know Brady's offense on his level.
Even right there, though, Bernard's a cheaper version of what Fournette provides you, and he did it pretty well with them last year. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's the Bucs. It's the Bucs depth, guys. We're talking in circles here. It don't matter. That's going to be it for Rapid Fire. So before we get out of here, we got to do some tap outs. Does anybody have any tap outs, boys?
I really had one 30 seconds ago, and then 15 seconds ago I thought about how hungry I was, and I can't remember it now. I'm not making this up. Oh, I got it, fellas. All right.
Bingo.
I don't, when I first got to Temple, I was told, I'm like, well, what's the scene around here? What are the bars that people like to go to? Nothing was ever said good about Pub Webb, if you're familiar with Temple. The Webb brothers on Cecil B. Moore have to be like Sam Hinkie, because, fellas, That place is a certified establishment on Cecil B. Moore nowadays. If you haven't been to Pub Web in a long time, this is free advertisement. Get to Pub Web. Had one of the greatest weekends in recent memory. And, the nights were capped off with a little Pub Web and March Madness action. Couldn't be better. It's glowing review for Temple University this weekend. It's an active week, fellas. Fun stuff.
I've always been a Pub Web guy. Max, do you feel the same?
I never went there a ton, but they had good wings.
Oh yeah,
do have good wings.
Still do.
Max, your tap out.
I'll be quick. A little sentimental here. A couple months ago, my parents sold the house I grew up in, and this past weekend was move out. So I was in my childhood home for most likely the last time. And, just I don't want to be too sentimental about it, but like that's certainly something that you don't know how much it affects you until it's happening, right? Like if your parents still live where you grew up, like I don't say cherish it because it's not that deep, but on the same time, it is certainly a little bit surreal knowing that a place you spent so many so many years of your life in is just it's not where your parents live anymore. So it is what it is. Like obviously I have not lived at home for the last couple of years now, and my parents are happy and they like their new house, which I'm obviously very thrilled for. But on the sentimental side of things, like enjoy the stuff that brings you nostalgia.
Speaking of enjoying stuff, go outside, get some fresh air, get some vitamin D in you. It was absolutely gorgeous today. I was able to go out back, do a little bit of gardening with the girlfriend, clean up the backyard, come inside, do some more housework. It was just nice. It was nice to get outside. It was a little mood boost after being inside. And I spend more time inside than a lot of people, as I work on a computer all day inside my house in my home office. So, yeah, get outside, go enjoy it, and you know what? Go have a cold one. Go have a nice adult beverage at a bar near you. Support local businesses because it's a good time of the year, fellas. It's getting positive outside as the warmer weather comes around. But you can always get positive with us every week here about Philadelphia sports. And if you weren't here with us live, you can join us wherever you get your podcasts, Anchor, Spotify, Apple, anywhere in between. But until next time, we'll see you, Philly. And we are always brought to you by My New Philly, where something's always new.
And
everything's always Philly. We'll catch you next week, everybody. Go Phils. Let's go.
Got the Fightins.